I think what's happening is we're not looking at the different levels and the entry points of that non-compete.
This episode is made possible by OITVOIP. Find your best-in-class revenue generation for MSPs all over the world. Learn more via the link in the show notes.
Good morning and welcome to the July 9th episode of MSP Dispatch, your source for news, community events, and commentary in the MSP channel. My name is Tony Francisco and I'm joined today by my co-host, Mr. Josh Hohbein. Not Hohbein, not Hohbein, Josh Hohbein. Josh, how the heck are you doing? It's been entirely too long. Tell me, how was your amazing weekend?
Hey, it was great. I got all my fingers. I forgot, had to do the finger check after the 4th of July. All good here. Just had a nice, relaxing, long weekend with the family. Played a couple rounds of golf. So kind of forgot how to work a little bit, right? I'm just getting back in the swing of things and going through the mountain of emails. How about yourself?
That is awesome. I think we can all relate to exactly that. So much going on. You know what else is going on? The news. Jumping into my first story from TheVerge.com. The FTC's ban against non-compete agreements may be under a threat. A federal judge may block the FTC's ban on non-compete agreements, which prevents employees from joining similar positions or starting their own businesses. Set for September 4th, the ban is now delayed due to a preliminary injunction issued by Judge Ada Brown. She plans to rule on the full challenge by August 30th, 2024. The lawsuit filed by tax firm Ryan LLC argues that the ban is an unconstitutional attempt to eliminate a long-standing economic arrangement. Supported by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and business roundtables, the plaintiffs are likely to succeed, according to Brown. Despite this, the FTC insists on its own authority and aims to protect workers for its non-competes, which claims hinders innovation and economic growth. So I have so many things to talk about with you on this one, Josh. But first things first, I want to point out that my actually hurts from straddling the fence so much during this particular topic. So I'm going to pass the mic over to you and kind of ask you, what is your opinion on this? Do you see two sides? Is there only one side? Are there more than two sides? What are your thoughts?
No, there are definitely more than one sides, and this is kind of how I like these. I'll be the first to say too, I don't fully know the details of this, so in order to make an educated opinion on this, I would like to get the complete story on both sides. But just based off of reading not only this article but a couple's at face value, there are two sides to the coin here. Obviously, the non-compete, you want to be pro-employee and give them the freedoms and the opportunities that they deserve. But at the same time, from the business aspect of it, you need to protect your business entities and things like that. So it's tough because I do see both sides of it, right? And I like to be obviously pro-employer, pro-employee. Anything that supports them and makes our lives easier is a plus. But then again, from the business side of things, if you're working really hard and you have your business and then you hire somebody, they come in and then take all of that and leave and destroys your business. That's not a good thing either. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on it here, because I honestly can't wait. I can't really lean one way or another here at this time, but I'm interested to see what happens.
I think it's a very clever argument. I don't know if it will produce the end that is desired. Personally, I've created, quite a few multi-million-dollar companies, and the only thing I feared was my team leaving and starting their own. And the irony is that I was so transparent during that leadership process that I do believe I scared all of them into never starting a company ever. The good news is that I have a team that I can now move to a new company at will. So I believe you hit it on the head, which was giving the freedom of employees to have some semblance of career mobility or advancement. But I think what's happening is we're not looking at the different levels and the entry points of that non-compete. If we're looking at it from, hey, I'm going to start a company competing directly against you, well, now I have to create not just the business model and the technology to support that business model, the architecture, but all the operational execution to move that forward, which is going to require a bit of kinetic energy and funding and years, in most cases, a lot of time to move that forward to be any type of threat, which usually results in a feature that you can easily implement and kill the business model if it's not done correctly. But I don't believe it's taking account to the sales rep side. When a sales rep is performing well, the sales rep has the business relationships. Businesses do business with people. They don't do businesses with email or computers. Well, not until coming up with AI. Thanks, all the AI people. So OpenAI. So what I'm saying is that when a salesperson leaves with those relationships, it could have a devastating impact on the kinetic energy of a company, not just from the immediate revenue impact, but long term as well. So I don't know if they're factoring that in. I'm wondering if they are going to divide up the end result, the end here judgment based on salespeople can't, but you can go start your own company, that type of thing. I'm trying to figure out if there's going to be a gradient in there, but I'm pretty certain time will tell. And thank you for letting me talk about that. I am now going to pass the mic back to you, though, and we're going to talk about conceptually, if I'm going to go start my own company, I am going to do things kind of a one-on-one. And there has to be a level of transparency and clear communication, going from where I am to where I'm going. And the judge will then settle that argument if that non-compete is applicable. But no matter what, that communication is critical. APIs serve that type of communication and transparency. And I hear your next story is literally about APIs being abused, right?
My story here, coming from Billy Bean Computer, hackers abused an API to verify millions of Authy MFA phone numbers. Twilio confirmed hackers exploited a vulnerable API endpoint, exposing millions of multi-factor authentication users to SMS phishing and SIM swapping. In late June, threat actor Shiny Hunters leaked a CSV file with 33 million phone numbers from Authy. Twilio secured the API after detecting unauthorized access, but found no evidence of further system breaches. They urge users to update Authy apps for security and be vigilant against phishing. This incident echoes previous breaches, highlighting risks from unsecured APIs used maliciously for data scraping and attacks. So we preach almost every episode, and this one is no different. MFA, MFA, MFA. Well, here in this case, MFA isn't good enough. So what else can we do?
Josh, this is incredible. And for those of you who didn't see it, my headset died like right in the middle of that. So I'm sitting here reading the article at the same time saying, I want to jump in. So let me jump in. In regards to SIM swapping and SMS, and they had swishing and phishing, and there's all kinds of new weird social engineering, traveling through different mechanisms to get the ishing part, to gather the data. APIs are an automated way of bypassing the human involvement as much as possible. And if they have managed to go back to the back end and exploit that API vulnerability, where they can now facilitate different levels, they can almost amplify and propagate. SIM swapping is a massive issue. For those of you who know me in the industry, we were sitting at I'm not going to mention the names. I was sitting at a dinner table at one of the events in Chicago, and one of the girls was sitting next to me, and she was sitting there talking about how some weird text comes up once in a while, or she gets a phone call, and she answers it, and it's some other person. And she's like, "What?" And then she calls back, and it's her husband. And I said, "Oh, you had a SIM swap." And she goes, "What?" And I said, "Let me guess. You're on," and I mentioned the carrier. And she said, "How did you know?" And I said, and she goes, "It never happens to my husband." I go, "Let me guess. He's on Verizon." how did you know? I'm like, well, because Verizon uses CDMA and not the GSM cards, and SIM swapping is literally impossible. And then the iPhone went to the soft SIM card to prevent a lot of this stuff, which ironically opens up its own new problem set. But SIM swapping is huge, and so much can happen because remember, Twilio is involved. And what is Twilio? Well, that's a text routing mechanism. And when you go to log into something, it's saying, hey, we just sent you a text message to log in. Read us that so you can log into your bank account or your Amazon account or whatever your purchasing account. Guess what? You're not the only one getting that. And now they have a link that you're trying to log in somewhere with that code, and they can automate that as well. And they can start purchasing things. They can change the authentication. So you and I can talk about this for a very, very long time. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't think MFA is going to be an answer here because they've actually gone a little bit deeper into the API exploitation. What are your thoughts? And wrap this up. I'm sorry, babbling for so long.
Nope, all good. It's 10 seconds. So we say MFA all the time. SMS is probably the weakest form of MFA, maybe email. So use your authentication apps or something else if you can. But MFA is still better. Any form of MFA is still better than nothing, right? But in this particular case, this is why we also preach defense in depth, layered security, the onion, whatever you want to call it. But you can't just rely on one thing. And we've seen, over the last year or so, that even if you have the Authenticator app, it's pretty easy to get that session token and bypass MFA. It's something you absolutely need, but again, we just have to have that layered security and just constantly be vigilant. So that's what you can do.
That is the roundup that I like to hear. And wrapping this a little bit further, if there was only a place that we can discuss this, maybe like a Discord link. Oh,
that was great timing.
Do you see that?
It's like, man.
Thank you, son. So for those of you out there, there's a Discord link. Use your phone if you're looking at this on YouTube. If you're not, freeze this frame, send it over to somebody, have them text it back to you, or go in a mirror and do some weird Cirque du Soleil bending to where you could actually scan that and go take place in the conversations. Outside of that, please send us some feedback, some questions, the comments, concerns. We love the feedback. We stay engaged with the community all day, every day. And to wrap this up even further, please subscribe to this channel. Let us know some other stories that you'd like to talk about. And for everyone out there, please stay educated and be safe.
If you found this episode eye-opening, catch more MSP Dispatch at 10 a.m. throughout the week. Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
This has been a broadcast of the MSP Media Network.